a battle for second position. Jay Sauter has pulled a little ahead of this group of automobiles, and now it looks like Tony Raines is the one who's holding up the parade as Benson, the 88 machine of Eddie, and Bob Senecker with a brand new car of his own design have closed in to challenge.
Well, the smoke that we saw coming from Tony Raines' car on lap number 1 and 2 has gone away. So obviously that was just oil or whatever sitting on top of the engine. It was burned off right away. Could have been a tire rubbing a panel, although it is on like.
And apparently the smoke has disappeared from Gary St. Amant's car number 7 as he settled into a racing groove and continues around the racetrack. Several cars have fallen off the pace. Larry Moore just pulling off the backstretch. Bruce Lee appears to be out of it in the 04 car.
Those of you at home watching, waiting to hear about your favorites, some of the other drivers that are in contention, we understand that the smoke, it is speculated from down in the pit area, it was oil on the muffler, and now I see smoke coming from Glenn Allen Jr. We'll keep our eyes on him, a car running comfortably inside the top 10. Behind Larry Phillips, just to bring you up to date on some of the other people, still competitive, Ken Schrader, Tom Harrington, Todd Forbes, Jim Cooper, Tony Roper, and Pat Bordeaux, then Gary St. Amant.
We continue to watch the battle for second, third, and fourth positions as now Tony Raines has to work his way to the high side of the Dennis Lampman automobile. Lampman, a late arrival this weekend, had very little practice time. And now they move in on Dave Watson. Yes, a blast from the past in ASA. About 4 drivers have come from way years ago. Watson was the ASA champion in 1977, thus the number 77 on his car, and in fact quit a job with the SCCA as its director of competition to come back to ASA this year.
Well, running in 6th place unofficially, we've got a blown motor in turn number 1. We're going to go to Ralph in just a second. He had a comment about our 6th running car, but meanwhile the yellow flag flutters for Tom Jones, one of the late arrivals, but an ASA regular. They just managed to get here. They had some highway problems, I understand. Jones was unable to practice on Friday and loses apparently an engine here early on.
And probably Johnny Benson is saying, I wish that had happened in the last race of 1992 because Jones finished second and cost Benson a championship by 2 points. The
difference between the championship last year. Ralph, you stay standing by. We're going to go pay some bills and come back and talk about Scott Hansen making that big comeback in 1993.
Welcome back to I-70 Speedway and the opening weekend of the American Speed Association. Let's update you on 2 competitors out here this afternoon. Starting with Scott Hansen. You might remember last year Scott broke his leg. Well, the leg is healed, but it was bothering him here today. He wasn't sure if it was the cold weather or not. And the thing to take note of is that it is his left leg, his braking leg, which he will use quite a bit here this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes on car number 53. Also, updating you on car number 15, Glenn Allen Jr. The smoke that Larry and Rob noticed coming off of the car, Glenn is radioed to his crew and says the headers, they had painted the headers and the paint is burning off the headers. He can smell it inside the car and he says it doesn't smell real good, but he thinks it's going away. One other problem for Glenn is he can talk to his crew, but his crew can't talk back to him.
You know, it was really interesting, Larry, in the drivers' meeting. A couple of the guys said, hey, if somebody's got some smoke coming out of their engine, black flag them. And one of the other drivers said, you know, I've never seen that condition get better. Well, he spoke too soon because for Glenn Allen Jr. and Gary St. Amant, it seems
Tony Raines.
And Tony Raines seems to have strangely disappeared in the early going.
That's really good news because each one of those 3 gentlemen are people who have been really dedicated to the American Speed Association. Now, here is one of the cars that was rejected when it went through the tech line this weekend, I understand.
Center of gravity maybe just a little bit too high.
Somebody let him sneak out. I don't know how that happened. In the 1993 season, more and more attention is being focused to the American Speed Association. And Ralph, I'm told that the influence is even reaching Tinseltown.
Well, you know, Larry, I know you think you're probably the most famous face here in an ASA race, but you're not today. It is this gentleman here. Tristan Rogers is very famous to a lot of daytime soap opera watchers who played the name of Scorpio in his days on General Hospital. Now, Tristan, what is it about ASA racing that brings you here today?
Well, I came here as a guest of the Wynn's people. I'm supporting both of their cars, their Lamina and their Ford. You might say they've hedged their bets between General Motors and Ford there. As the first oval event I've ever been to, and I had the opportunity to drive around it, and as I've only ever raced road courses in the past, I now have a whole new appreciation of how difficult it is to drive fast and stay on the track.
Now, are we going to get a chance to see you maybe climb behind the wheel of one of these ASA cars before the year's over?
Yeah, I'd say that's a definite possibility. I'm very excited about the prospect. The ASA people seem interested in having me participate in future events, and I like the feel of the event here. I mean, there's just how can I put it? It's a wholesome feel, you know, good, solid family values, a good bunch of people. Everybody wants to drive fast but have fun. They're not out to kill you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. We look forward to seeing behind the wheel of a race car. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Ralph.
Tristan is one of two celebrities that the Wynn Oil Company has brought to Odessa. The other is Lisa Dickerman, Miss Wynns for 1993. And Tristan, by the way, at dinner last night, Rob, I found out that he has raced over 100 times. Now, some of it he admitted he wasn't real proud of, like destruction derbies and enduro-type racing, but he has competed a number of times. I was quite surprised.
I kind of detected that he might not be the traditional ASA racer coming from Michigan or Wisconsin or Ohio. And the clue was when he said Lumina.
Yeah, Lumina. Well, Alan up there, I think you've blazed the trail for a lot of new faces and a lot of new personalities coming to the Great American Racing Series, the American Speed Association. We're under yellow at Odessa, the high banks near Kansas City, Missouri. We'll be back. One of the drivers, by the way, entered here this weekend, John Freeman, unfortunately failed to qualify for the field with mechanical difficulties. Said I was to be sure and tell his children that the Easter Bunny did visit the Odessa area over the weekend, so consider it done. Racing Electronics, by the way, as we look at a crewman in the Noah Yoder pits, driver Todd Forbes, they are the official supplier of communications equipment to ASA and is giving you an opportunity to feel like you're part of the team. Rob and I will be drawing the name of one lucky fan during each of the remaining ASA races, and the winner will receive a Uniden Bearcat scanner from Racing Electronics, along with a one-year Racers frequency membership. Yeah, that's pretty valuable. To enter, send your name and address on a postcard to Racing Electronics, Box GFS, that's George Frank Sam, 8701 Mallard Creek Road, Charlotte, it would be Charlotte if you were in Michigan, North Carolina, 28262.
We'd also like to say hi to Shirley Medley, the mother of Tony Roper, who suffered some medical problems this past week. She's in the hospital, and now we're going to take a look at the Gary St. Amant automobile. He is on pit road. No indications of what the problem might be. I'm sure Ralph will be alerting us. That crew is trying to get that machine out. Larry, I don't believe he's lost a lap yet. If he has, maybe one.
The leaders are coming by right now. Gary drag races out of pit lane. He beats the pace car out, so if our suspicions are correct, he has managed somehow just to cling to that lead lap. This is a brand new car. This is his maiden voyage. It's a car that was handcrafted by Gary himself in his garages in Columbus, Ohio for Mac McClellan, that racing team, and their Wynn sponsorship.
And it looks like that he will be coming back on pit road. Again, he went out in order to not go a lap down, and I think Ralph is now in his pit stall.
Rob, it's the main feed for the oil pump. The sealer right there is leaking. The fitting is leaking. And Donnie Shook and the crew are trying to get him back in here so they can try and change that and get it tightened up so it won't leak out anymore.
They just barely managed to get out that time, but Gary right now is moving around the racetrack. Of course, he can move up to the inside of the leading car and then make his pit stop at that point, but the field is still so long and it's such a long trek to get up to the front. It's just almost impossible, even at the yellow flag speed, to work your way around. Gary is working very hard. There he is, coming down the front stretch right now, moving faster than the rest of the field. He's trying to get as close to the leader as he possibly can. When he gets right underneath Jay Sauter, he will then duck into the pit area, giving him the maximum amount of time to do the work they need to get done.
Gary seemed extremely relaxed coming into this racing weekend. For the first time in his racing career, he's got some support from another owner other than himself.
It looks like Glenn Allen Jr. is also about the pit. So two of our top contenders, both Ohio drivers, Glenn from Cincinnati, Gary from Columbus, Ohio, lifelong friends and competitors. They're coming in together, both of them with some early on-planned pit stops.
Well, 11 drivers have registered for the Pat Shower Memorial Rookie of the Year Award as Glenn Allen Jr. and Gary St. Amant come on pit road. Among them, Jim Cooper in the car number 95. He's the forward-most running rookie at this juncture in the race. There he is in the Carbright Chevrolet, car number 95. Now, he piloted an Oldsmobile in 1992, but with the new contingency program that Chevrolet has introduced, $4,000 to a race winner if driving a Chevy, they've made the switch. Now, when you see this guy in person, if you remember IndyCar driver Mike Mosley, this guy's a dead ringer for Mike. Very soft-spoken, but in the Midwest, he's known as Super Cooper because he is an absolute terror on the high-banked half-mile ovals like this one right here. He's the winningest driver at Winchester Speedway and open competition stock car racing, Salem Speedway, and he's the guy, Larry, I think most of them know is the target for Rookie of the Year.